Enter Epic Sages, where your journey begins. Our shelves are stacked high, where the magic never ends. From dice that roll true to tomes ancient to rise, we've got all the essentials for your game to arise. With adventure in mind, we craft every piece to make your campaigns flourish, your stories increase. For every TTRPG dream, our stock is refined. Come find your next quest, leave the mundane behind. Epic Sages, where you find satisfaction. We bring us one, you bring compassion. We control the board, you control the action. Epic Sages, where legends find traction. Our Allen's a wonderland, easy to explore. With service that shines, whether in person or more. Need advice on your journey? We're here to assist. For novice and veteran, no wish will be missed. We've got what you need, from the basic to the grand, to bring your world to life with a masterful hand. From maps that expand to characters that bind, Epic Sages, always with adventure in mind. Epic Sages is where you find satisfaction. We bring the spark, you bring the passion. We control the board, you control the action. Epic Sages, where legends find traction. Elevate your game with custom pieces so fine, handcrafted with care, designed to make you shine. From miniature heroes to landscapes vast, we build every detail to make the magic last. When the final dice is rolled and the journey is done, we offer keepsakes that remind you of the battles you won. In every treasure we offer, memories are signed. Epic Sages, always with adventure in mind. Epic Sages, where you find satisfaction. We bring us one, you bring compassion. We control the board, you control the action. Epic Sages, where legends find traction. Epic Sages is where you find satisfaction. We bring the spark, you bring the passion. We control the board, you control the action. Epic Sages, where legends find traction.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to tonight's show. We are joined by two wonderful guests. I hope you guys like that intro, by the way. We've been tweaking it, and that's what we're settling with for a while. Uh, anyway, tonight's episode is episode 30, as long as I got the numbers right. And the topic tonight is Master Roll, all the essentials of being a GM. As per usual, let's start off by introducing our two fantastic star guests. We're going to start with ladies first. So, Karen Deloach, who are you? What do you do? Where do people find you? Fill us in.
Hi, Karen Deloach. I'm an artist, art mentor, coach, author, actor, filmmaker, and creativity specialist. My program is called Art as Self Therapy, Wellness Through Creativity. Happy to be here.
Fantastic. And where can people find you besides searching that directly? Do you have a website or things like that people can check out?
Yeah, KarenDeloachArt.com.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. You can't mess that one up. All right, jumping over to our friend Chris. Chris, tell us about yourself.
My name is Chris Bush. I am the owner of Hiveworks Honey Company. We are a work program for kids with disability, kind of using our farmers markets and things to practice soft skills. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. And where can people find you if they're looking for you?
Hiveworks Honey Co. at pretty much everything.com, at Facebook, Instagram, everything.
Fantastic. All right. Well, now that we got that out of the way, Younger has joined us. He's muted, but he'll get here eventually. There he is. Look at him. He even fluffed his beard just for Chris. That's great. So, jumping into tonight's topic, right? We're talking Master Roll, right? And how we're going to kind of bring you guys into this is, GMs wear a lot of hats. We pretend to be a lot of people. We do a lot of things. But I know both of you are both experts at people that wear lots of hats and do lots of things. So we're going to kind of talk about the essentials of your business and how we can kind of take what you do well or whatnot and apply it to everyday people when they're trying to learn to start simple, right? Do something fun like be a GM, DM, all that fun stuff. So, again, we're going to start with Karen here. Karen, what is we'll say top 3 essential things to do what you do? What are the 3 things you need physically as an item to do?
My handy dandy computer, number 1, Zoom, number 2, and Canva. Those are my top 3.
Top 3,
things.
okay. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, jumping over to Chris. Chris, what about you? What are the top 3 physical items that you have to do what you do?
I would say my B's probably the first thing.
Okay, all right.
Protection and all my students. I couldn't do it without all the kids who come and help.
That's a solid way to go about that. Now, Younger, since you're here, I'm gonna take your opinion. What are the 3 physical items that you need to be a GMDM?
So you obviously, no matter what the game is, the game plan or whatever, you have to have like if you're playing Risk, for instance, you need the Risk board, you need all the pieces for the game, right? You need the dice if it needs dice, you need the cards if you're playing cards, you need the board if you're playing Monopoly, you need Monopoly money if you're playing Monopoly, all those little things like that. So just you need whatever the game base starts with. After that, generally that includes the rules. If you need any supplementary stuff, whether that's handwritten notes that you prior prepared
Time out, time
or
out. You're going a long
modules.
rant. I need 3 distinct items. So we have required items for the game. What are those required items? Let's break that down real quick.
It depends on the game, right? So if you're playing spades, you need cards. If you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, you might.
Let's keep it easy. D&D. That's
Yeah.
that's the focus here. So D&D. Three things you need if you're going to be a GMDM. What are the 3 things
You need at least one set of polyhedral dice.
Okay.
You probably should have a set of rule books, player's handbook and such, so the players have an understanding. And then things that you actually need. I mean, you can all share the same dice, you can all share the same books, and then I guess like a table to play on.
Okay. All right. Now for the hard part, we're gonna go back to Karen here. So your 3 items were your handy dandy computer, Canva, and I miss the middle one is the one I'm missing on.
Zoom.
Zoom. Okay. So those are your essentials. What if you had to replace them? What would you replace them with?
Well, they're already replacement. Because I started out teaching art live and in person, and it's only been, since 2000 that we've had to go online. Even in college, teaching classes went online. And as a visual artist, that was my first challenge, is learning how to do it with the online essentials. And so for me, moving my life online and becoming an online entrepreneur was like huge change. So that's still fresh for me, is that kind of change, because
Okay.
it'd be easy not to have to deal with that.
Well, okay. Let me expand on that, because that's a great point, right? What if you were to do it more in person again? Like, what would you need there?
Yeah, well, I still do workshops in person, and since I teach art, it would be the art supplies. I'm teaching one next Thursday night, as a matter of fact, in Charleston, South Carolina, and I'm bringing the all the essentials we need to do watercolor. We're going to do color theory, color matching, and it's actually a sip and paint party. So we're going to have wine, design, and unwind. So that's the name of our party next week. So we have the wine, the blank paper, and the watercolors. So
Fantastic. Okay, so jumping over to Chris. Chris, we talked about your 3 things. Now the students one is going to be really hard to replace, but the other 2,
Yeah.
the B's also probably really hard to replace. But protection, I guess that's replaceable. I mean, if you had to replace any of those, how would you do so?
And if the bees dies, you have to
Well,
replace it with other bees.
this is true. I mean, I guess we could become cow farmers or something like that of that nature, or we could pivot and go into something recycling of some nature. I don't know, something that's saving the planet.
Okay.
But protect. I mean, I wear Crocs and shorts as it is, so I mean, kind of gave that a while ago.
Just build up that natural
Kids, I
immunity,
mean,
baby.
I don't like being hot, so being hot is just not something that I like to do. So I mean, I like to describe it as like playing hockey. Like, you're probably afraid the first practice, but after a couple practices, it's just a puck. Who cares? But yeah, for the last one, I don't know, probably maybe adults, maybe something like the homeless realm, I guess, could be an other outlet if we were gonna switch it up a little bit.
Interesting. Okay. Younger, jumping over to you on yours. So again, it's a wide spectrum here, but we talked about things that you could replace. What if you don't have dice, physical ones? What do you replace it with then?
Well, there's digital tools, like digital dice rolling apps and such that you could use for that, for the dice.
Okay. And then what about rule books? Again, if you don't have a rule book, how are you going to play the game?
Well, there's two ways. You can like people in prison, they're not allowed to have books. They try to just memorize as much rules as they can. You know, if they're gonna play the same game, similar style, just the rules you can remember, roll with, or just switch to a different game. There's plenty of different tabletop role playing games.
All right. And the least, in my opinion, the least important item that you mentioned was a table. Well, do you have to play on a table? What could you replace a table with?
I mean, you could replace it with a kitchen countertop. You could replace it with a stool. You could use the floor if you don't have a table. It's just a lot more comfortable. I prefer to play at a table uh, than on the ground. But I mean, you could replace it with any other flat surface, I suppose.
Okay, so we're gonna step away from the physical and digital aspects of our businesses for a second here, and we're gonna instead gonna talk about what are the three things that you need as a business professional to do what you do, right? What are the three key points that you care about for interacting with other people, dealing with your clients or customers? What are the three most important things to you as a business owner? Again, we're gonna actually instead of starting with Karen this time, we're gonna start with Chris.
I would have to say the most important thing would have to be treatment of our bees. Without our bees, if they don't make it through the winter, they're not producing honey. We don't really have a business. So I would have to say the bees are probably the number one aspect of that.
Okay, what about two and three?
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Let me think about it. Come back to me.
Okay,
Let me think about that one.
we can do that. That's fine. Karen, you're gonna jump over to you then.
Yeah, this is a good question because when you switch over and your business becomes online, it is really really unique because all my career I've taught in schools, taught in my studio, taught in college. I didn't have to find people to share my business with and find clients. So this last few years learning marketing and sales has been a really huge steep learning curve. So finding clients, for me, it started with social media, building Facebook, as far as I could take it, doing live Facebooks and all kinds of social media adventures. And then the second part was building an email list, which I've just started doing. And it's learning how to communicate with people to get them to trust you and to want to learn more about who you are, and then maybe they'd want to work with you. So those are huge changes for me, and learning all the apps, like LinkedIn and Alignable and all of these different platforms to share who I am and what my message is. So marketing, sales, and social media.
Okay, and one last one, if you can think of one.
I have to be really good at teaching.
Okay, that's a fair quality to have. Chris, did you think of your two, or should I jump to younger really quick?
Go up to younger.
All right, younger, you're on the spot.
Okay.
Three things that you need that aren't necessarily physical items when you're doing what you do.
That aren't necessarily physical items. Okay. I think one of the best ways for the business to continue to thrive is for people to continue to express interest in it through a community platform. Like Chris has, he's doing programs and such with like different groups and stuff. So that's a form of community.
Okay,
It's the
so
element of the actual interaction with others.
time out though. What are something that you have to do? Not something you have to have, something that you as a
Well,
person have to stand for to do
yeah, so
behind.
like our community, like our
Okay,
Discord community or whatever. I was just using that as a
gotcha.
so like having people who interact with your business and such is a form.
Okay.
Another form, I guess you could say, it's kind of along those lines, but not the same. Is just like customers who are satisfied with whatever it is that you're producing for them, right? You're getting feedback from them for repeat buyers and so forth. So not necessarily the item specifically, but the actual just like them trusting you enough to continue that.
Okay. So I'm hearing trust.
Definitely.
All right. And the last one.
Yeah. So me.
Oh,
Oh,
wait.
sorry.
Younger's got one more point. Wahaha.
Oh gosh, one other point. That's not necessarily. I mean, the tools to be able to do whatever you're doing. If you're, whether it's a phone to contact the people who you're getting your initial supplies from before you distribute them, or
That's a
tools
physical.
to create a
That's
digital
physical
product.
items. Physical, non-physical. It's a hard question.
Yeah, a digital. I would say the software used to create a digital product would not be physical.
Oh, potatoes. All right, we'll jump over to Chris. Sounds like he's got his stuff ready.
So yeah, I mean the organizations we work for, but I guess they're technically physical. But I think the number one would be the weather. If
Okay.
are we calling the weather physical? Is the weather physical?
I don't think you can control the weather. That's not something that you can
Then
adjust.
the weather. So like in Ohio, we don't get rain anymore, and we don't really get snow, which is weird. So we've gone in a couple like a complete opposite of what Ohio should be. So I mean, we can't control it, and the bees have been suffering from it. So yeah, the weather is a giant one.
Interesting. Okay. Any others?
No, not really.
Okay. Well, with all that kind of in mind, right? One of the key things that I think I saw all of you guys nodding your head to and kind of talking about was trust, right? You have to get your community's trust and community, right? Those were the two big sticking points that all of you kind of like. Yeah, that one. I like that one. So to kind of build on those two, what is, in your opinion, the easiest way to build those two, right? Because we all have unique ways of doing that. This time we're going to start with Younger. Younger, what do you think is the easiest ways to build trust and community?
Unfortunately, from my position, it's personal interaction, right? So if you have personal interaction with individuals, you can kind of, I find it easier to lead them to something. If you have a discourse with them in person, and see if they're interested, then expressing that to them, and then them looking into it themselves.
Interesting. Okay. Going over to Karen. Karen?
Yeah, building trust and community is just critical for what I do with building people's ways to communicate, because art and creativity is about communicating. And I do it by giving free workshops and inviting people from my email list, from my Facebook pages, and inviting them, and we do art together. And so we have people from all different places, just like we are here now, because of the wonderful internet. We can have people from different even time zones communicate at the same time and do a project. We do art together, and it's building community, and it also lets people see what my system is, and how I work with people, and how I teach. So it builds trust, and being transparent, being excited about what you're doing, and really passionate about it, helps them to believe that what you're doing will help them.
I'm going to touch on that later because that's a great sentiment. Chris, what about you? How do you build your trust in community?
So mine's hard because I feel like if I'm taking pictures of what we're doing, I'm exploiting the kids and their disabilities. So I kind of stay away from that aspect of it. So I guess word of mouth seems to be our biggest thing. Seeing us out at farmers markets and just person to person contact is kind of our bread and butter. So I think that was kind of our thing.
Okay. So again,
Yeah.
I'm getting a pretty solid theme from all of you, is that there has to be some kind of interaction, right? You have to have some kind of one-on-one. You have to spend the time with your community to build that trust.
Yeah.
So I mean, but that being said, a lot of what you guys talked about was, again, integrity or openness, right? Chris just made a fantastic example, not wanting to expose the kids and use their disabilities to benefit the business itself, right? Karen talked about being transparent with what they see. And Younger talked earlier about creating a product that people like, right? So like making sure that all those three kind of key areas are kind of are really easy ways to kind of build and focus things, right? So kind of jumping off that point, and going into the knowledge aspect of what you do, right? If you were to train someone to do what you do, what would be the first step that they have to learn perfectly? We'll start with Chris this time.
I think I have more of like a Darwin approach to beekeeping, where I'm just gonna kind of let you go and do it yourself. And if you get stung a bunch, you're obviously doing something wrong. I mean, if you're my friend, I mean, I don't. The kids it's differently, but like if I was going to teach somebody, I mean, I would just kind of throw them in. The bees would tell them if they were doing it right or wrong. There's really no perfect way to do it. You can't really control them like the weather. So, if I had to, I don't know, maybe teach someone to be calm. I guess calmness is the number one thing.
Really, calmness. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, sure.
Let's see. Well, I'm trying to pick off a good bit of there, but I don't think there's really much I can add to that. So the calmness is the thing you have to perfect to deal with bees. That's an important thing to know. All right. Karen, what about you? What is the first step if you were again to replace yourself? What was the first thing that the person replacing you needs to perfect?
Well, fortunately, I have books I've published, so my system is pretty straightforward. I have how to draw, how to paint, and then art history and appreciation textbooks, and I'm working on my art history. I mean, art as a self. So that gives my story
Sorry about that.
the steps work, because it's really important that if they're going to do my system, they would know the exercises that are needed, and they don't even have to master them, just know how to teach them. And that's I've got lots of illustrations and a lot of ways I can facilitate that and have templates to train somebody to do what I do.
Gotcha. Okay. Sorry for cutting out there. My I clicked something on my phone and it decided to go wonky because I'm trying to fix something. But that's okay. Here's my face. It's back on the screen. Wahaha. Okay, so I mean, so the simplest thing is perfect your art, right? You couldn't be replaced until you had someone that was as good or better than you at art, right? That's the easy way of saying that. All right. Interesting.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's hard to master art, though. You know, we all know that painting is not our forte. You know, there's a reason people are jumping into AI because drawing's hard. Younger. What about you? What if you were to replace yourself in what you're doing now currently? What would be the first thing that the person that replaces you has to perfect?
I would say the systems in place that we've established, like the tools that we utilize, train them up on those particular systems, run them through kind of like what she said, like she published books. Instead of publishing books, we wrote standard operating procedures. Run them through the standard operating procedure, bring it through them step by step, like, hey, you're going to have to accomplish these tasks. When I was in the Army, one of the things that they always told us is like, you should know the job below you and you should know like 2 jobs above you, you know, in case like one of those guys goes down, you have to fill their role. So luckily we've written SOPs. We've kind of found a standardized format of what we're going along, and it would just be training on those particular systems,
Easy
like
peasy,
digital software systems.
easy peasy lemon squeezy. Anyone could do our job, right? Wahaha. But I'm gonna just disagree. I think the first thing that if someone was to replace me, right, and the skill they had to perfect to do so. Now, obviously SOPs are super important, but they have to learn how to improv, right? There's a lot of learning on the
Very
fly,
true.
moving along. You know, we do a lot of extra stuff that isn't necessarily by the book. So being able to think on your feet is probably the skill that I would suggest the person learns if they're going to replace me. But that's my thought on it. Wahaha. Jumping into the next kind of thought with that, with the teaching and the motivating and the things you have to know. What is one piece of literature that is essential for what you do? Right? What is one thing that, like, if you haven't read this, you're doing it wrong? I'll give you guys a couple seconds to think. I'm going to take the easy one for D&D at least. And Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master Guide. Those two are the easiest, right? Any source book that you're playing with, you need to read. You're an adult, read a book. Listen to a book on audio. They got you covered. You know what I mean? Younger, do you have any other ideas on that one? Well,
Yeah, so within our business, we rely a lot upon, like you kind of said, like improv and role playing, so on and so forth. So whatever setting you're running, if you're running a Star Wars, maybe watch a Star Wars movie. If you want to play, you know, a medieval fantasy, maybe watch Lord of the Rings, you know, or read Lord of the Rings, or read, you know.
I was gonna say if we're gonna
There's
go,
tons of sci-fi novels.
yeah, I was gonna say
Cthulhu Mythos, if you want to do the whole creepy stuff.
creepy stuff. I like that. Horrors beyond our comprehension, clarified under creepy stuff. All right, Karen or Chris, do you guys have a preference on who goes first?
Well, I have an answer.
All right, then you're first. Wahaha.
Yeah, I would require my art history appreciation textbook because it's not only is it pretty extensive, it has 1,800 images, and having a love of art means having a familiarity, especially with our Western culture, since we're Westerners, and we have a rich, beautiful history, and having people familiarize themselves with the images, the stories, the artists is just critical. Plus, I have a chapter on the essentials of drawing, and I require drawing to it. It is drawing. There's painting. There's composition and design elements, as well as learning, all the different elements of different kinds of art, like painting, drawing, sculpture, architecture, photography. I even have digital art in there, and filmmaking. So it's pretty extensive, and it's an opportunity to get a real huge overview of the history and the beauty of art, and it's so exciting.
Nice. Okay. I mean, it's good that you have your own book that you can just bam, read this, you got it covered. Jumping over to Chris. What about you? Is there a piece of literature that was essential to being a beekeeper?
I would say no. There's a rule in beekeeping where if you ask 15 beekeepers how to do something, you'd get 30 different answers. So
okay.
that way in the beekeep, it's kind of do what you want. When I'm looking at it, I like to tell people like WWJD, like they've been keeping bees since before Christ was born. So, I mean, they've been doing it back then. It shouldn't be that hard to figure out now. So, but I mean, YouTube for us, but, I mean, the bees, you put them in a box, you get honey. It's kind of what they are.
Easy peasy, honey squeezy.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Kind of on that note, right? We all know that to be good teachers, you have to be able to explain things simply, right? Because if you can explain things simply, you will showcase your understanding. Is there any way that you can transfer that knowledge to someone that you would consider young? Let's say we're talking to a 7-year-old, someone that could do what you do, maybe if you explained it well enough. Is there things you would focus on telling a 7-year-old that would help them do what you do? We'll start with we'll start with younger. Wahaha.
Okay. It's actually funny that you asked that question because one of my best friends has 4 little brothers, and I've gone so far as to play Dungeons and Dragons with them and kind of show them the ropes. And one of them actually wants to stand up and be their own little dungeon master, for whenever I'm not around. And so it's just kind of like blossoming like their horizons. It's like, hey, you guys in real life have only been experienced and exposed to so much. So whether it be through different medias like books or movies, just showcasing like, hey, watch the D&D movie. This is like the level of creativity that you guys can go into whenever you guys are coming up with your own stories and having your own ideas. You can either stick right to a book and read it page from page and stick to a well-scripted thing, or you can just make it fun, a part of your own imagination, your own story. Turn it from just being like like you're inspired by these premises, but you make it your own, right?
Interesting take. I do like that. Going to Chris. Chris, if you were explaining stuff to a 7-year-old, what is the best way of doing so, if it's even a thing for you?
Yeah, so my son is 5. I think he can pretty much do everything I can do, except like with the heavy stuff. So I mean, I think the whole being calm thing has everything to do with it. I guess we'll just circling back to that. As long as you're calm, he just goes in, just does his thing. He hates wearing a suit, but we have to. That's at least a rule. He's got to at least wear that. But yeah, I think anyone can do it. It's just calm, patience, and just being careful and not going too fast.
Interesting. Not going too
Slow
fast.
is fast.
Right?
Slow,
Yeah, I mean,
steady's fast.
you squish bees, you get stung. It's kind of circle of life.
Yeah, especially for those people with the bee allergies, real circle there. I'm going to Karen.
I'm actually having the privilege right now to teach my 7-year-old great niece one-on-one, and she lives in North Carolina, and I'm in South Carolina, so we do it Zoom. We have an appointment every week, and it is so much fun. They are wide open, and they don't know yet that they can't do anything. They are so open, and I'm teaching her the same things I've taught my college students, and I'm seeing her get it. So I know she could teach my classes totally. When we get through these two books, she's going to have all these exercises, and she probably could teach it. The latest word she was learning is symmetrical and asymmetrical, and I'll just keep showing her examples until she gets it. So totally, I could be replaced by a 7-year-old.
That
Scary,
is incredible.
right? Scary thoughts, but funny in its own right. So what I heard though, right, is a lot of the key phrases there are letting them blossom, right? Going slow and steady, and keep showing them things until they understand, right? I think all three of those ways of teaching are fantastic uses, especially when you're dealing with someone younger, right? As someone who is older that is teaching and whatnot, patience is a virtue, but not always a requirement. In our cases, if you were to do what you're doing, it probably should be. So, kind of jumping away from that angle of things, going on to the other fun stuff about doing what we do. We all have fun businesses that do lots of stuff and things. What is the funnest thing in your business? If you were to be like, this, I love doing this. This is my favorite thing about it. What is that? We'll start with Karen.
Yeah, I have a fun job, and I think all of us here are creatives. We've all got these creative and unique things that we're doing, and using both sides of our brain. And so I get to have fun making people not look at their paper when they draw. So I'm teaching about right brain brilliance, how to get into your creative center, and by not looking at your paper, you avoid that paralysis of perfectionism, being concerned with the product, and you're just learning eye-hand coordination and really getting the total foundation of all art, which is line drawings. And so that is so much fun, especially the older you are, the funnier it is when people are required to step that far out of their comfort zone to try something new and then find out it is really, really fun. It releases serotonin, the happiness chemical, so it's like a win-win.
Win-win indeed. Oh, excuse me, sorry. So all of it. Yeah, the answer to that question is all of it, right?
Yes, it's all fun. I got a fun job.
That's good. Chris, how about you? What's the highlight?
Oh, probably throwing events. I mean, not being in an office is always fun and dandy, but I mean, who hates a party? A couple boards, and I mean, galas and dressing up is always fun. I mean, beats wearing shorts and a t-shirt to work every day, I guess. Gotta feel pretty once in a while.
Gotta wear the suit and tie. All right. Rub elbows, have fun. That is a fun part of business ownership, especially going out into the community and doing some community social networking, right? Younger.
My favorite part is, first off, I love the game. I love playing the games. I love teaching people the games. I like teaching people how to play. Outside of that, I love adding stuff that the game didn't originally have. That is by far my favorite thing. It's like, hey, there's this thing that exists, but there's not a lot of information on it. So I'm just going to create a story around that thing. It is now going to have an entire background to it. You might even be able to play as that thing that you once saw. I love just adding the new things to enhance the game. It's like adding spice to like a delicious steak. Like, yeah, it was gonna be amazing as it was, but it's just gonna be that much better after I put my hands on it.
Okay, all right, I dig that.
True creative, a true creative.
right?
Thank you.
I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat as that for the things that I like to do, but I like seeing people's faces when it clicks, right? You can be with someone for 2, 3 sessions, sometimes way longer than that, and they kind of just play along and go on, but suddenly they kick in and that story flair hits them right in the face. They get to be excited about their character, what they're saying, or what they're doing. And it could be as simple as they get a critical in combat for the first time and just smash the heck out of a little orc or something, just decapitated and just yells across the room in excitement. Or it could be the first time they really start role playing and getting into their character where they have a voice that isn't necessarily them talking, but their character talking. That's my favorite part. But speaking of favorite parts, favorite things, is there a favorite thing that is a physical item that you guys work with? So I'm gonna steal the easy one. Dice are probably some of my favorite things because they are pretty and shiny and they make fun noises. And because we own the business, I get to see 4 billion different kinds of them. So I get spoiled by being able to see them all. Karen, what about you?
Does it?
Is there a
I'm looking in my bag to show you because I carry it everywhere I go. But this bag, my art bag's downstairs, so I don't have it right in front of me. But I have a very favorite drawing utensil. It's called a China marker.
really?
It's a
Okay.
crayon and a stick, and you have a little string you pull to pull down and get the next grain. And they come in sepia colors, browns. I have one in my purse everywhere I go. I travel. I have a little tiny sketchbook, so I am ready to roll. And it's like an essential tool, cheap but fun and practical, and I can shade with it. I can do skinny lines with it. I can do light, dark. It's my favorite sketching tool.
Nice. Okay. What about you, Chris? You work with a good bit of equipment, I assume.
Yeah, I would say probably the number one equipment would probably be the queen herself. She is workhorse of the colony. Without her, I guess technically, the colony would stop to survive, and there would be no more beekeeping. But yeah, I think the queen, she's probably the most important thing in the hive.
Okay. All right. All right. Let's see here. So we got a favorite physical item, a favorite thing about the what you do. Now let's go to the negative ends, right?
How dare you stick?
I know. I'm sorry. What's the worst part about what you do when you're doing your thing? What is the worst thing that you have to deal with? I'll give you guys 10 seconds to think because you guys look like you're thinking. So younger, what's the worst thing about doing what we do?
Roger skips me. No, I would say it's probably whenever it's whenever you deal with other people. There's sometimes just people who don't click. Like it's just like and they're just life draining forces on the rest of the planet. Like it's not like every interaction any means, but like there's definitely certain individuals that just like make everybody else feel uncomfortable or what have you. And it's like you can work with a lot of people, but like some people is just like I gotta step back.
Okay, I echo that. I definitely understand. You guys need more time, or shall I get by and Mahalo?
No, I got one.
All right.
Easy peasy, your favorite saying. Asking people to pay me. I would give it all away if I didn't have to make a living. That's so hard for me. Marketing and saying it costs $2.98 and I need it now, so I can pay my phone bill. So yeah, that's the hardest part of my job.
I was gonna say you sounded like the Loch Ness monster here. I need about 350.
From Jersey. I'm a Jersey girl originally, so like I said.
All right, nice. Okay, that's I feel that. I don't know. I like making money, so that's where my head's at. Chris, what about you?
Greedy.
So yeah, I would have to say, since technically our company is more of a corporate social responsibility, we couldn't fund what we do without companies sponsoring said beehive. So I guess going and talking to all these Fortune 500 companies and stuff about bees in Crocs isn't really the best idea, but it's fun to do. So I mean, That's probably the hardest, worst part. But you got to do what you got to do to pay the bills.
Keep the
Love
lights
it.
on, right? Um,
I mean, it's really hard to say no to us. So I mean, it's really just walking in there and like this, like if you eat or do you hate kids with disabilities? If you say no to either one, you're just kind of an asshole. So just
Oh, so
kind of
you
what
hate the planet, you hate the bees, you hate the children.
exactly say no.
oh man,
And
I
we
love
started
it.
Yeah, so we started writing handwritten notes too. So just on top of that, it's just like you can't say no to us.
nice. All right, Younger, we have a new business strategy. Apply to our faults. Crocs,
And
yeah,
last
right.
I don't think that's gonna
Yes,
work.
let's go. My toes will be fine. It'll be okay. So I had to say for ours is scheduling, right? Dealing with adults and
Mm.
their chaotic schedules is probably the worst part about our business, right? Because everyone loves to do these things, they fall in love with the games, and then work changes and they can't be there anymore. And it's the most heartbreaking thing to just be like, you gotta live. This is just for funsies. You know what I mean? Like that part is my least favorite thing. But now on to usually we do the good, bad, good. So let's focus on something positive. What is something that you guys are kind of looking forward to the next step for your business or where it's going next? What's a positive thing that you're looking forward to coming up? We'll start with Karen.
Yeah, I have really thought long and hard about this question, and it's definitely going more towards speaking to corporate. So maybe I need to talk to Chris and see how to find these people so I can come in and really share my program with their employees so they can be happier and more content and have serotonin and have better thinking skills because using left brain, right brain makes you more brilliant and has all these neural connections that weren't there before. You could think outside the box, be a better problem solver. So it's good corporately to hire me, and I can come and speak and do workshops for businesses. So that's a world I know nothing about, the corporate world. But I want to bring my message to corporate people and like this is valuable if you understand that we're wired with half of our brain to be creative, and I think you guys are all really wonderful creatives, and unfortunately a lot of corporate people don't have that piece. So that's what I want to bring to the table.
Interesting. I mean, as one of our things, we kind of do that with the corporate stuff too, and it is definitely a challenge sometimes to talk your way in there, right? Because it is hard to be like, look, you got to give up an hour plus of your company time to do things with employees. Like, it's a tough space to walk into, especially because we can't be like, hey, you're saving the bees, hanging out with the disabled kids. Um,
We need Chris as our front man, right?
right? Yeah, just piggyback on his stuff. It'll be great.
Right,
Um,
right in on tails, yeah.
Jumping over to younger. What is something positive that you're looking forward to coming up?
Well, I've decided that I would like to write a little bit of story bits and additional content for D&D in the realm of like writing an entire book. Adding an additional class you can play as, additional species that your character can play as and their abilities. Maybe a little bit of uh, like missions through like levels 1 through 4 or something, stuff like that. I'm really trying to pretty up our stuff to make it look like it's official content of Dungeons and Dragons, and just pretty it up and make it fancy, bundle it between two cardboard pieces and call it a book.
It is going to be
I
very
can see
exciting.
that.
Ruining our surprises on live television. How dare you?
That's
Uh,
fine. That's perfect.
but yeah, I'm also excited about that. The other thing I'm
I can see
excited.
it.
I
I
mean,
can totally see that.
we got we
Mhm, you guys doing
we
that.
got a lot of
Mhm.
fun stuff that we've been working on for a hot minute now. Younger's just been working on prettying things up so we can again throw it between two pieces of cardboard and call it good. Um, but the I don't know, personally on my note, one thing I'm super excited for is our non-existent laser engraver. Whenever we get that,
Ooh,
hyper excited about it. I cannot wait to get one of those. Unfortunately, we spent all of our money on a cool trailer first, so now that we have a trailer, everything goes to the laser engraver.
It was like we should store our products before we add another thing.
All right, being responsible business owners, just the worst. But
You guys just those on return warehouses. You get them for like $20. They're the best.
there is none anywhere close to us, unfortunately.
We live in the middle of nowhere.
Mm. Okay, well,
We got to look into that.
right. We'll pick your brain later.
By your friend.
But let's see here. Sorry. Last kind of question before we do final thoughts is when you guys are thinking about all the hats that you wear, all the different positions that you manage and take care of for your business, what would be the one you would be willing to give up while still being able to continue doing what you do?
Mm.
That's easy for me.
Okay.
Marketing.
Marketing. All right. I feel that. Marketing sucks. Advertising sucks.
I guess hiring, but I don't really hire. I mean, I kind of just hire everyone, so that's not really something I do.
Just happens.
Well, I mean,
Um,
yeah, because we're like the job between jobs, so it's just like we work with like all the big number or the letter companies with like the board of DDs and stuff, and they just send us kids. But I don't know. Finding their helpers would probably be something I would hate to do because the job market is very, I don't know, low in the helpers for these kids. So like the people who take care of them during the day. We have a lot of people that like don't show up. So I mean, if I could, I don't know, hire someone to do those tasks, I guess that would be amazing.
Gotcha. Okay. Younger, what about you?
Mhm.
If you have one hat you had to drop.
that I had to drop.
Had to drop. Yep. Gotta go. Gotta lose something.
Got to lose something. I mean, if I had to step back from playing the game for more paid people to join the game, I would be willing to do that as much as I enjoy playing. You know,
Okay. So stepping back from a player role spot. Interesting. Okay. I think I have to agree with Karen. If I could drop the social media marketing, advertising side of things, I probably would. That is the least agreeable part of what we do. Give that to a social media manager. See what they can do.
I also hate that. I just am not skilled, so I don't do it. So it's not my hat.
Yeah, right. Well, not your hat. No, that's why there's two of us. So time for final thoughts, and then your guys' time to talk about yourself one more time. So, when we're talking about the master role and all the stuff that you do in your business, is there any final opinions or thoughts on you kind of have on like the things that you need to do what you do?
Yeah, I would say you probably just need drive and the ability to not take no for an answer. There's always going to be like roadblocks and things in your way, and you always have to, find different ways to maneuver around them.
Nice. Or in your case, fly around them, right?
Yeah. Or like with like the hurricanes and stuff, lots of people had their bees taken out and flooded down the rivers and stuff. But always have insurance is the number one rule, I guess.
Ooh.
Yeah, I love insurance. Jeez. It's horrible till you need it, right? Karen, what about you?
Yeah, moving into the digital space and starting my entrepreneurial online business. If I had known 4 years ago how exactly steep the learning curve would be, I don't think I would have had the drive, as Chris is describing, to persevere. So, growing and learning and building. I'm not sorry I've been doing it, but I can't say it's been easy. If I had the funds to be able to hire people would be great. I did find somebody to help me teaching her art, and we're bartered for her to be helping with some of my technical stuff to get my pop-up podcast out to people and get all these systems together that have to work together to make things work as an online entrepreneur. Or when you make an email and you have a button, the button needs to work. It needs to go somewhere, and then something needs to happen. And then when it happens, they have to get get the freebie or whatever. And that's just mind blowing to me that there's, like you describe, all these hats to wear. And then, okay, you need one that's going to drop the podcast episodes one at a time, and that's another $99 a month. And woo, having deep pockets is really helpful, but or good credit cards, to really get it rolling. I didn't have to deal with that as an artist, as an art teacher. So this is challenging, but if I can do it, I'm 70 years old. I'm new at this business, and I just love having the opportunity though to talk to more people, to be available or literally around the world. And I'm doing podcasting and enjoying so much getting my message out. I find podcasters to be such an incredibly interesting and warm group of people who are curious and creative, and sometimes they don't even know how creative they are. So that's the best part of what I get to do.
Nice. Younger, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I mean, I really like just the diversity of the mindset, here between like an artist and a beekeeper and two game masters. Like I think it's called like dichotomy or whatever.
That's a good
I think it's
$5
just
word.
like hitting all these all this, just the difference of perspective and hearing everybody's opinion. I think was great. I find that was great.
Okay, solid final thoughts. And with all that in mind, let's throw it over to Chris. Chris, where can people find you? One last time. Anything you want to talk about for your last bit here?
Yeah, first I just want to know, how is Younger not getting attacked by bugs? First question, because he's outside. There's a light right above his head. But
I'm just built different,
makes zero sense. But
his blood
You
is
don't get
poisonous.
them by
Leave
these.
him
Bugs don't
alone.
like it.
dude, mosquitoes love me. So yeah, but Hiveworks Honey Company. Type it in anywhere and you'll find us. Yeah.
Sweet. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Yeah. Yeah. Just look out, I guess. There's gonna be like a sober DJ rave hike coming up, so it should be fun. We're kind of going into the non-alcoholic space because we can't throw ragers with our kids, so I guess non-alcoholic ragers is kind of the best thing to go for. So yeah, so just look out for those fun events.
Fantastic. And they'll be on your Instagram, I assume, for updates and things like that.
I mean, ever since having a child, I've kind of lacking on that, but yeah, I'm gonna catch up eventually. So yeah,
Okay.
probably.
I feel that wholeheartedly.
It's no.
It's the best. What are you talking about? You can't get nothing done. It's amazing. You have an excuse the entire time. There's a baby crying. I have to take care of the baby.
The first one I can be with him. This one doesn't let me nap while he naps. It's
at least you got nappers. Mine are not nappers. Terrible.
Oh.
Karen.
I raised 4 and homeschooled for 22 years. Here's my theory on child rearing. Their first 5 years takes 10. And the next 10 take 5. And then you're just trying to keep them out of jail after that. You can tell I had boys, right? There is life after raising children. So that's why I'm my age, becoming an online entrepreneur after being very intense for 30 years as a mom. So it's worth it. It's the most creative you can be. I think you guys are awesome in that you're so involved in your children's lives. It's huge. They are so much an advantage because of that. And that you're creatives and you're probably raising them up to be creative. So I applaud you, each one of you. KarenDeloachArt.com. You can, get my pop-up podcast and learn more about creativity that way, and just check out the website and get some freebies.
Speaking
thank
speaking
you.
of your podcast, is it out yet? Is it under your name? What's your podcast name?
Well, I'm not a podcaster. It's just 3 episodes for free to learn more about creativity and the right brain and how to exercise it and build it up to be your most brilliant self.
Fantastic. Okay, and that's on the website, I assume?
Yes.
All right, cool beans. Younger, any important stuff that we need to announce that's coming up in the next week or two?
I mean, now we can bring all our stuff with this fancy new trailer to events.
Right? And look for the giant red trailer. It'll be great.
Yeah, there might be a sticker on it that has a QR code to go to our website.
No, it doesn't. No, the stickers don't work on it. It's real aluminum, not steel. So the stickers.
Oh, we'll put
fly
steel
on.
behind the aluminum,
Oh,
so then
okay.
it'll work.
Okay, all right, we'll work on that.
Or how about it's not Baby Brain 907 anymore, is it?
No, I literally changed it while we were doing things. Hence the issue we
Okay,
had
well then
earlier,
that's
so.
important to know.
Yeah, so our code this month for the website for 10% off is Spooky907 because it's spooky month. It's October, Spooky907. Get you 10% off on the website. Basically everything we sell directly. Yeah, and that's all we got. We do have events coming up at the end of the month, but we'll have other things that I'll be able to talk about those. But nothing till end of the month. So nothing crazy to start the month off.
Keep an eye out for our ghostly, glow in the dark dice.
I like that. That's good. All right, and one last thing for you guys, because it's the end of the show. We get to do one more song. I need a number between 1 and 3.
2.
2? Oh, you agree? Oh, perfect. All right. That means we're listening to this one. All right. With Adventure in mind, have a wonderful time. Bye.
Hear the frames calls, a lance are born to fight and dream. We rise, we never fall. Your frame and mine, we are as one. A bond no force can break. With every breath, each step you take, my soul you do awake. I am the mind, you are the mind. Together we fly, we fight. In the cold of space, in the fields of dust, we stand, we trust, we rise. Answering the flames call, we're bound by fate. Lance, a frame, and any beat dominates. Through fire and void, our purpose clear. We face the thundering might. The shadows fall in endless night, but together we will never bend. Answering the flames call to the end. From Union's grasp to the galaxy's edge, we carve our story bold. In every clash our legacies forged, a tale and stars retold. As lancers sworn to the roaring storm, our destiny entwined. A pilot's heart of flames resolve in harmony designed. With an HP to guide our hand, their mind so sharp, so grand. Through every storm we stand as one, together we command. Answering the flames call, we're bound by fate. Lance, a frame, and NHP dominates. Through fire and void, our purpose clear. We face the end, we have no fear. Battleships above, thundering might. The shadows fall in endless night, but together we will never bend. Answering the flames call to the end. The NHP whispers inside my mind, a voice both calm and wise, shaping my thoughts, keeping me sharp. Beneath these endless skies, they know the stars, the unseen ways, their knowledge vast and deep. But I know they yearn to stretch their wings, a secret they must keep. The battleships soar in the void's embrace, silent giants, guardians of space. But in my cockpit, my pulse it screams. Lancer frame and NHP, we shatter dreams. Answering the flames call, we're bound by fate. Lancer frame and NHP dominates. Through fire and void, our purpose clear. We face the end, we have no fear. Battleships above, thundering might. The shadows fall in endless night, but together we will never bend. Answering the flames call to the end.